So today, Thursday, June 26th, this is our, originally was looked to be, it is a special board meeting because it's off of our regular schedule. The intent originally was to give some approval to Heather for the end of our previous school year, and the agenda ended up a little fuller than we anticipated. So Brenton, thanks for coming and continue to record for us. Before I call it to order, it's not an amendment to the agenda, and I know you've all had time to look at it, but I just wanted to draw your attention to that we typically have committee reports. We're not doing that this morning for obvious reasons. We will do that at our next meeting. But we do, number 8 is board discussion. Again, in the light of everything kind of going on with our state, thought it might be good to throw that in if we want to have some discussion. If we don't, that's okay too. But didn't want to bog down the beginning of the agenda with Heather's report and Gary's. So just, not that we can't have discussion through the motions, but if there's additional stuff that doesn't fall into that, we will have that opportunity. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Mr. Falk?
Here.
Mrs. Lindeman?
Here.
Mr. Napier?
Here.
Mrs. Winger?
Here. Okay, and an adoption, number 3 of the agenda, if I could have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
I'm sorry, I'm writing them down. It was Mr. Falk, a second. Okay. Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mr. Falk?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mrs. Winger? Yes. Mrs. Lindeman?
Yes. Okay, and number 4 on the agenda, A through, which makes our packet thicker, which is a good thing to be on our agenda. So we have special accommodations for awards for the spring. Looks like girls, well, it looks like it's boys and girls, track and field. So I'm going to read down through these, give our kiddos some shout outs. Ella Boughton, and you can see there off to the side all of the first team. I'm not going to read through all the details there, but Ella obviously achieved a lot of different categories there. Grayson Toombs, Callie Carpenter, Kit Bellman, Trinity Enzer, Caroline Rice, Elizabeth Swartzentrooper, Peyton Blakesley, Abby Crable, Angelia Overholt, Emily Fenney, Beanie, Cassie Fisher, sorry, I can read Fisher, by the way. Oh, here we are, boys. Brandon Hogg, Noah Smith, Aiden McManus, Josh Alexander, Tanner Eastup, Darren Hartley, Caleb Smith, Anson Wanger, Elijah Snow, Elijah Roush, Gavin Toombs, Blake Sipes, Tanner Eastup, Cooper Ryan, and then under baseball, we have Kane Sheriff, Carter Mall, Caden Gibson, Vince Lavin, and then into softball, Taylor Brown, Jaslyn Whitman, Kennedy Allgaier, Tiana Over, and Olivia Harris. And again, all of their accomplishments at KMAC and then are listed there. So congrats to our kiddos for adding that into their school experience. We also have special accommodations for staff for some service awards and retirements. Under the 5 years of service, probably should be, 5, okay. Well, Ren is actually, we know this, retiring. Kim Lyon, retired from our kindergarten wing. 5 years of service, we have Adam Brown, Delaney Daup, Lillian Hoover, Mary Pound, and Tashina Snow. 10 years of service, we have Sarah Beal, Heather Darnold. 15 years, Lori Briegel, Deb Dugan-Burden. 20 years of service, we have Amber Perry, Marcia Schock, and Teresa Thompson. And 25 years of service, Rhonda Geppinger, Lori Grogg, Kelly Herbst, Sharon Strebe, Dawn Toombs. And 30 years of service, Melissa Midcap and Teresa Snyder, which is wonderful. Okay, letter C is a motion to approve, motion to approve, we need a motion, that was just special accommodations. Okay, motion to approve the following donation. We had $800 from the Knox County Foundation to support programming and services related to social and emotional support. And I think we're looking for a motion to approve those, or that, I should say, was one item. And that was Nate.
Second. Mr. Bellman?
Yes.
Mrs. Winger?
Yes.
Mr. Falk?
Yes.
Mrs. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Okay, item number 5, our treasurer's consent agenda.
I have 3 items on my agenda. The first one is the final appropriations, if I could talk this morning, for fiscal 25, and then my temporary appropriations for fiscal 26. The revenue came in higher. The majority of it was all in self-insurance. Those are large claim reimbursements, so anything over our stop loss, the self-insurance fund was reimbursed back those really claims. And then for general fund, the money that was, the 426,000 came in higher, was a lot of it was interest and then Medicaid reimbursement. So total for the estimated resources for ending fiscal 25 was 1.9 million. Like I said, with almost 1.4 of that being self-insurance, not into the general fund. Amended appropriations is the same. I only have a few here. The bottom 3, the Title I, the Title 4A and Title 2A, those are end-of-year adjustments for our grants. Those are special education grants. And then we have student managed. A lot of that is the end of year for prom receipts. And then the district managed, that is, again, just end of year for athletics, and then for the fruit and cheese sale for FFA. And then I have self-insurance of 742,000, and that is for medical claims. My temporary appropriations to start fiscal 26. General fund is lower than last year, as we are not paying for the bus garage out of general fund. So I have only received 1 grant so far for fiscal 26, and it is the second one from the bottom, line number 572. So that is the only grant that I have received so far for fiscal 26. Everything else, for all the way from general fund all the way down to 300 is very similar as to last year. Some of the funds actually stayed the same for appropriation wise. So my appropriations came in at 25 million for the whole, for everything combined. The second item I have is the transfer of 3.7 million. This would be the second final motion for this. This would be moved from general fund to the capital maintenance fund. And then I have the insurance liability, the property insurance. It did increase by 8,000, and the majority of that was due to the new buses. With the old buses going off and the new buses going on, there's quite a difference from when I started. We still have a bus on there from 2018. 2018, we paid 82,000 for a bus. This bus coming up is 145. So the difference, the insurance does go up with the cost of bus increase. And that is all that I have.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion to approve, and then we can have discussion from there.
So moved. Second.
Okay, discussion. Yep,
Question.
please.
So in the, in the House Bill 96, they said that you can take money out of the general fund, put it just like what we're doing. Does that mean it has to be done like by September or October or something like that
To move it?
to move it? Did I read that correctly?
I haven't read that.
Okay.
Have you read that?
Okay, so I could pull out my phone and, but we got an email, I think it was late last night, from OSBA, but
That's where I was reading that.
yeah, I believe, October, I think,
Yeah,
of
well-
2025, but I think, and maybe some clarification, I think the association was trying to get something in probably our hands, but I think their language even said, like, they used permanent improvement.
Yes.
Which is different than
Permanent
this
improvement, it
070.
stays in permanent
It
improvement, you
stays.
Right.
cannot move
You
it back.
cannot move it back, okay.
That's the
So
difference between
Got
the
it.
070 and the
Right.
PI. We have a 2 mil levy for the PI, so there's money coming
Yep.
into that fund.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot of schools do not have a PI fund, that's the reason they're moving the general fund over to the PI fund, so they can build capital projects. We have that already, and that's what we use money to buy buses for, is out of the PI. This money that we're moving over into the 070 can sit there for 10 years. After the 10 years, then it's moved back. And from the meeting I went to yesterday, the county treasurer's meeting, we had a state auditor there and the county auditor there. And the state auditor, as of right now, has confirmed that money can still sit there for 10 years. They're saying within the House bill that we have 3 years. So until around October, we should know if it's really 3 years or if it's 10 years. But with the county audit, meaning with the state auditor, they're saying that money can sit there for 10 years.
Okay.
It's really confusing.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the key point being, and you already made this point, both of you, is that that money can be moved in and out of that 070
Correct.
versus if we lock it in somewhere.
Right.
Like the
If you
PI,
move
once
it
it
to
goes, it
PI,
stays.
It stays in PI, you cannot move it back.
And then this sets us up to be at 40%.
50, because the first reading was that, and we hadn't gotten to
This
this.
is 50, but now that it's come
Yeah.
out, it's 40%.
Yeah, they met in the middle, we'll see what the governor says, but,
Yeah, okay.
House
I'm
was-
just trying to,
yeah.
there's a lot there, it's ridiculous.
You don't have a degree in that?
Mhm.
No, me either.
No, I can barely function as an adult.
Yes, so I guess let me ask you this, it has really nothing to do with, but with PI, what is the parameters years on that? That's indefinite, or is it 10 year, like?
Ours is continuing.
Okay.
All of
Okay.
our levies that we have currently are continuing, except the bond and the classroom maintenance.
But the PI fund,
That is also continuing.
okay, perfect,
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
I-
have 3 fixed sum levies, and as of right now, I shouldn't jinx this, but they have not touched fixed sum levies as of right now. So,
Now, are you using fixed sum in our language, is that considered an emergency in the, when it's on the ballot? No.
it's just considered a continuing fixed sum levy.
Okay, because they talked about changing the language on the emergency to say
The
something.
emergencies, according to
Different on the
the
ballot.
meeting yesterday, there's already been some local organizations, public entities that want to run, a replacement levy, and they are not, they have to go back and change their actual language, their actual ballots, everything, because replacement levies will really no longer be.
Mhm.
And that's still part of House Bill 335,
Yeah,
right?
335,
Yeah.
right.
And that's not attached to,
House
by
Bill
anybody.
96.
Right,
Not
right,
all of it,
right
but,
now.
but it's in Ways and Means.
Right, so it could,
Yeah.
it could
Ways
resurface.
and, I always want to
the
flip
focus.
that. I want to do alphabet, and then I don't do alphabet there. So my question is more, and it's not really a question, but this self-insurance,
Yes.
I forget when, I think I've asked this before, but is there a certain amount that we need to make sure stays there, or is that like, is that kind of we decide that? Does somebody tell us if you're?
Yeah, I work with Jefferson Health Plan, they're
Okay.
consultants there.
Okay.
I actually meet with them monthly,
Right, okay,
to go over the fund balance and that, and they help me,
see if it's
set the
enough,
rates.
or,
yeah.
okay, okay,
Because the premiums also go into this pot. So, yes, I do work with a consultant.
Sure.
Not necessarily a broker, but a consultant through
Okay.
JHP,
okay.
yeah.
It's just a lot of money that sits there, which you kind of hope not to use because you don't want your people,
Right.
you know, having things, but still, it's a lot of money that sits there. We'll just earn a little interest off that if we need to, maybe. Okay. Any other discussion, questions for Heather? If you think of something, we can catch it at the end there too. Okay, then I guess we'll do roll call.
Mr. Falk,
Yes.
Mr. Napier,
Yes.
Mr. Bellman,
Yes.
Mrs. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Winger?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving into item, or number 6, our superintendent's consent agenda.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank Heather and Don, Lene, and Sonia for all of their work here when you close out at the end of the year.
Yeah,
Quite stressful, and try to keep the office as calm as possible, especially during a biennium budget year. So just thank you, Heather, for all your work.
Yep.
for
You're
this.
welcome. Thank you.
Been a lot, and especially this year.
Mhm.
So very appreciative of that. As far as what I have for you as well, I did give you an update as far as staffing is concerned. As you're aware, we had a middle school science teacher hired, and then she took off and took another job. So we would like you to consider that resignation here this morning. We have that position posted. We are struggling there to find candidates. We have one that we're talking with, but so we're still, Mr. Brown's still working through that one. Also with yesterday with Gifted, an update on that as well. We being the administration met with Mid-Ohio ESC to really discuss them providing gifted services through a consultation basis, and that meeting went very well. They were very descriptive, prescriptive, if you will, in the type of services they would provide. So I hope to be bringing back to you a contract with them in July for gifted services. So they did a nice job of explaining it, and our administrators really, what they did is they listened to our administrators explain their needs, so I believe they're going to tailor-make a proposal to meet our needs here at Fredericktown. So appreciative of them and their work there. As far as you can see here too, we just received Mrs. Burden's resignation on Tuesday afternoon. We have that position posted. And then also with our speech and language position, Mr. Caputo has been working diligently on that. I provided that update last week in the board update, but I believe he has, it's kind of been going back and forth. He has 1 or 2 interviews later this week, Friday, I believe, so.
with speech?
With speech.
So the faster will be ours?
Well,
Maybe? Oh,
maybe,
okay.
still through an agency, but, so, again, maneuvering through all of that, keep your fingers crossed, and we'll try to keep you updated on that ongoing saga there. So, moving on then to the consent agenda, we have several resignations there from Michaela Portal, Lori Walters, and also Deborah Dugan-Burden. We have on item D, we have a MOU with FEA to allow compensation for required trainings this summer related to Project Lead the Way certification in STEAM. That would be compensating unit members who take those trainings to be paid at $30 per hour. Most likely, we'll be approving those individuals at the July board meeting once we get those from Mr. Shoemaker. Also having the annual MOU between Fredericktown and the Village of Fredericktown for a school resource officer. Appreciate their partnership and always their attention on our students, our staff, community, and keeping us safe. Item F, we have to rescind Deborah Ray for ACT proctoring, as ACT will pay her directly. Item G is Science of Reading, Caitlin Weber, and then a contract amendment there for a move from bachelor's to 150 semester hours for Molly Pence. And then also to employ as intervention specialist, we have Noelle Dudgeon, Lori Walters, and Hannah Taylor will be taking over as the new student support specialist. Summer custodial help, we've had custodians in and out, and this will help us with summer help with Ethan Smith and Graham Overhaul. And then also supplemental contracts for this fall with golf. And then finally J, well not finally, but then item J would be already, I guess it's here, volunteers for band camp, football games, and band festivals for 25-26. And then also, item K is we would like to move the July 8th regularly scheduled board meeting to a week later, to Tuesday, July 15th.
Yeah, we don't want to be together too often. We need some space in between our meetings. No, I'm just
We've
kidding.
been spending a lot of time together.
Yeah. In good company, though. for sure. Okay, so I would entertain a motion, and then we'll have discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, my only thing, and I feel like part of this is because I've been paying attention to a lot of different things, and I can't remember if we talked about this before, but could you just give a small context, the gifted thing, and what's changed with that as far as, I forget if we talked about this at last meeting, so I apologize
We
to
did
everybody. if
talk
we did.
briefly on that, the last board meeting.
Okay.
Because we had that position posted. We were looking at various candidates there. And with the recent law change with gifted and their certification, we have targeted funds for, earmarked funds directly from the state for Town of Gifted, for Student Success and Wellness, for one other one, DPIA. And if we are not allowed to use the gifted funds specifically, respectively, to hire a gifted intervention specialist or a gifted coordinator if they do not have the actual certification, okay, license. A lot of times, districts will hire somebody with an Ohio license, but it may not be specific to that gifted certification. You temporarily certify them and you can move forward with that. The law change specifically to gifted does not allow you to hire somebody with a temporary certification to provide that gifted service.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
So we have to funnel those funds through, and what we're looking at, that's why we talked with the Mid-Ohio ESC for those gifted services, because they will provide that person. It's not full-time by any means, but they will be able to provide those services to meet the requirements of the state budget.
Yep. So my personal thoughts on a little bit of that real quick is just that, I don't know how many educators when they're, coming out or even entering, thinking they want to be, that they're putting gifted. So I hope we are communicating with higher ed to say, or is it a angle of we want to push more towards shared services? So I'm not sure what the angle is there, but I guess I just hope that, because I don't think that a lot of teachers come out, or educators should come out with that certification. So it's gonna limit a lot of districts, probably, in that, having your own in-house potentially.
Yes, all those things you said, but also to the state report card, the revised one, I believe about 3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, put a heavy emphasis on gifted services and gifted identification, and then gifted professional development. So that is a heavyweight gap closing, gifted's embedded in the gap closing indicator. So they have a heavy weight on that indicator within the state report card. So that's also part of the response, connecting then funding directly at the state level to that state report card indicator. Sorry.
Yep. All right.
And that, and real quick, Gary, that
Sure.
will be somebody from Mid-Ohio ESC,
Yeah,
will
we'll-
be physically here, not
One,
just-
right now, looking at 1 day a week.
Yeah,
Yep.
nothing, no virtual.
No, we want, definitely would be here, looking at the complete gamut, from the reporting requirements to the professional development, to the identification, the servicing, yeah, so.
I have a question for you as well. I've just been looking at the amount we've had of changeover resignations. Have we done exit interviews to see if there's a common theme of what's happening
I have
here?
not done any of the exit interviews yet with the majority of those individuals. I haven't had a chance to.
Right,
I'd
I
like
realize
to.
that is what the principals have, or anybody, so just,
Now, principals have, I personally have not met with the majority of those that have resigned. So, that was on a to-do list. And my to-do list got full, so.
Any other, not that it matters, but just for the good of the group, Noelle Dudgeon's actually Ethan Dudgeon, it's his wife. That's Noelle. She worked, I think, in the Lexington School District. They live here in Fredericktown, and so, an alum's wife. take that, right? Okay. Anything else for the good of the group there? All right, then I think we'll do roll.
Mrs. Winger?
Yes.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mr. Bellman?
Yes.
Mr. Folk?
Yes.
Mrs. Lindeman?
Yes. Okay. Item number 7. Again, we'll do it, motions and then some discussion. So motion to approve an addendum to the superintendent's contract. These are gonna be 2 separate, so I need a motion for that addendum.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, discussion around that.
Clarification.
No, yes, but, yeah, please.
No, I'm asking for clarification.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna let Heather take a stab, because if I take a stab, or can I have you take a stab, do you mind, or is,
Don't mind.
okay,
Gary can chime in.
sure.
Within the new House bill, they are eliminating pickup for the treasurer and superintendent on their contracts. This is similar language as to what BASA has put out, and then we've also contacted the attorney on this as well. This is just a protection to the treasurer and superintendent. If it doesn't go through, everything stays as is. If it does go through, this will, the board is not gonna be paying any more than what they're already paying. So the retirement will come out of, me and Gary will pay our retirement. This is like a fringe benefit back to us for that. So there's no increase on the board side at all.
Yeah, and my understanding is that it exists in some current contracts even leading up to this House bill even coming
Yes.
to the table in
Right.
February. I mean, it's, so one of those things that'll probably live in our contracts moving forward, like all the changes over the years as laws change and whatever, so. This won't be a go in, go out, it'll just stay.
Right, there's also some, there's also a proposal within it, it'll be interesting to see that they may include principals in this as well. The other thing too, and I think I'm still speculating, because even attorneys are looking at this as well, that it would not impact existing contracts, only when you engage in negotiating a new contract between the administrator and the board. So we still need some clarification on that as well. So if there's an existing contract, it wouldn't impact. Don't,
So
Well,
I have 2 years
So,
on my
right.
contract.
Correct.
So when my 2 years is up in 2027, when I go in to negotiate, if this bill goes into effect, that line item's out, this would cover that.
Perfect.
that's what we know
As of
June
right now.
20, whatever today is,
Yeah.
7:30 a.m.
Yeah, so they added principals, in conference committee, it sounds like. So that obviously, maybe we'll see how much ink's in governor's pen, what he's gonna veto or whatever. But I guess my question there, and I don't know if anybody in this room's gonna have the answer, but is there a difference between a principal and an administrator? Or are they just using, is that just OSBA's
Well, and I
language?
think that's some clarification we need too, because you have directors, you have assistant soups, across the board. you
I'm
have
sure they'll
different titles.
define that, maybe that was just OSBA kind of making it just broad language.
Well, that'd be
Their
that'd be your
interpretation.
that'd be your Congress making that.
Right, but what I read was OSBA, so I didn't read the
Okay,
actual.
okay. Yeah, I don't
bill.
know. I think
Okay.
we're still, again, waiting on clarification on that. And there's a lot of other items too that are in this one.
Yep. And we're gonna wanna protect that, I think, for sure, is, looking at that, so we can get,
When you get creative, just thinking out loud here,
Yeah.
I feel like a smaller district like us, to be able to recruit talent.
yes.
And have those benefits for people, they're kind of hamstringing, especially I feel like the smaller districts, so. Thank
Yep.
you.
I had a lady, say to me the other day, Christine, they're just massaging your patience muscle. I'm like, oh gosh, okay. All right, so, we had a motion, so can we do roll call then on, 7A?
Mr. Folk?
Yes.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mr. Bellman?
Yes.
Mrs. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Winger?
Yes.
Okay, very similar. 7B is a motion to approve the addendum for the treasurer's contract.
So moved.
Second.
Any additional? Sure.
Yes.
He thinks he's funny at 7:30 a.m. I love it. You're funny at 7:30 p.m. too. Okay, so roll call on that.
Mrs. Winger?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mr. Falk?
Yes.
Mrs. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, so number 8 is board discussion. I think we answered probably a few things in the conversation through both of Gary and Heather's reports. I guess I'll just add, if you're following this, I'm sure we are all following this. It's to the governor at this point. I would encourage you to, if you want to watch a little bit of the House floor yesterday and all the different testimony between legislators and what that, it was very interesting. It's about 3 hours. I skimmed through some of it, but a little over 3 hours long. Some things that are also on the table besides this with retirement, whatever, is school board members. Right now, it's in there that we would need to select a party, run as a Republican or a Democrat, and run in a primary before being elected to the school board. So that's something that's in the budget bill as well, and made it through conference committee. That language is still there, so. That's all
I
it-
saw that, I have a question, can you run as an independent? Is that stage A where you have to declare one or the other? Can you run as an independent?
I would assume it could, but.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, I guess I don't know.
You know,
It's
I
just
don't know.
taking it
I
from
read the
a,
thing and I didn't say.
I thought the same thing, but
Yeah.
it's nowhere, I haven't read that anywhere.
Yeah.
I guess when they're taking it from a bipartisan to a partisan
Absolutely.
election, so whatever falls under that. So they didn't really say Republican or Democrat, they just said it's gonna be a partisan.
That's what I was
So
wondering.
I'm not sure
Okay.
what that looks, I don't know the answer yet. A lot of clarification around that too. I didn't, again, OSBA just, I think, was trying to get something in our hands. There'll be lots more to come out. But, they really didn't even, the language coming out of the Senate was you couldn't be a federal or state employee and be on a board. That included fire, EMS, police. So our very own Chief Tracy, who's the police chief here in Fredericktown, serves on Centerburg's school board. He would not be able to do that. Now, your terms obviously run through, but then once if this all sticks, I didn't see that, but that, again, I don't know that OSBA was given too much yet. So, lots of interesting things going on with that budget bill, for sure.
Can I deviate now to a question
Please.
concerning the school system? I've already been called on this. The 0 period is in effect, isn't it, for the next co-ag teacher? That is part of the curriculum.
What we're planning on, yes.
Okay, that's what I want to,
It's in the schedule.
I didn't want to, it's in the schedule, that's what I thought it was, but I want to clarify that here to make sure that that is going to be conservative. Okay.
Yep. Any other board discussion needed, or? Okay. Look at us. So number 9 is an adjournment of our meeting.
So moved. Oh, thanks for
Second.
And roll call.
Okay, Mr. Falk?
Yes.
Mr. Napier?
Yes.
Mr. Bowman?
Yes.
Mrs. Lindeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Winger?
Yes.